everyone, and welcome back. Are you ready to dive into something really fascinating?
I know I am.
Today, we're going to be talking about HRT and the brain.
Sounds intriguing.
Yeah, we're going to be looking specifically at cognitive and linguistic changes that can occur.
Wow.
We're basing this deep dive on a personal essay and some published works by writer and poet Jaime Hoerricks, PhD.
Oh, interesting.
So Jaime expected the usual changes with HRT, right? You know, the physical and emotional stuff.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, of course.
the cognitive shifts totally blew their mind.
Really?
Yeah. It wasn't just like a feeling. They describe it as like a total revamp of the way they think and express themselves.
Wow. So HRT actually changed the way their brain worked.
Exactly. And get this, Jaime even wrote 2 books that they say were directly shaped by their HRT experience.
Oh, wow. What are the books called?
In the Stillness of Chaos, A Journey in Verse, and Liminal Echoes, the collection.
I'll have to check those out.
Yeah, for sure. So today we're going to uncover how HRT can quite literally change the way our brains work.
I'm hooked already.
I'm excited to dive in too. So one of the most striking things Jaime talks about is how early on they noticed these changes.
Like right away.
Yeah, pretty much. Conversations just became smoother and easier.
Interesting.
But the most dramatic change was in their writing process.
Oh, tell me more about that.
So Jaime uses this really vivid analogy. They describe it as going from using like dull tools to suddenly having a super sharp chisel and a brush that can paint the finest details.
Okay, I'm listening.
It's like HRT fine-tuned their perception of language itself.
Wow, that's powerful.
I know, right? So it wasn't just about being able to express themselves better.
Right.
It was like HRT literally gave them a whole new set of mental tools to work with.
Fascinating. And does this line up with what other people experience on HRT?
That's a thing. It totally does. It's like a lot of people describe this feeling of their brain fog lifting.
Oh, interesting.
And they suddenly have access to all these parts of their mind that were kind of dormant before.
So they're saying that HRT can unlock hidden potential in the brain.
Yeah, in a way. It's like they've always had these amazing abilities, but HRT is the key.
So how does this work? Is there some scientific explanation for this language boost?
Well, scientists think that it's very likely that hormones are directly affecting the parts of the brain responsible for language processing.
I see.
The areas that help us form words, string sentences together, you know, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's almost like becoming fluent in a second language.
Uh-huh.
Communication just suddenly clicks.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So tell me more about how this mental shift showed up in Jaime's writing.
Okay, so you ready for this? It's like night and day.
Okay.
Before HRT, writing was this super meticulous process for Jaime. They would spend hours planning and structuring and revising every single sentence.
Wow.
It felt really heavy for them.
Oh, I see.
Like pushing a boulder uphill, you know.
Yeah, I get it.
But after they started HRT, it became this effortless flow of ideas.
Like a breakthrough.
Yeah, almost like the words were writing themselves.
That's amazing.
I know, right? It's like
Yeah.
all that mental effort just melted away.
So less cognitive effort, more creative output.
You got it. And there's actually a scientific term for that.
Really?
It's called cognitive load.
Cognitive load.
So think of your brain like a computer,
Okay, I like that.
and you only have a certain amount of processing power at any given time.
Uh-huh.
The more tasks you try to do at once, the slower your computer gets.
Right.
It's like trying to run a high-end video game on an old, outdated machine.
Yeah, just can't handle it.
Exactly. And it seems like HRT might be upgrading Jaime's mental hardware, freeing up those mental resources and making space for more complex, creative endeavors.
That's pretty incredible.
It is.
Yeah.
So instead of struggling to push that boulder uphill, now they can just let their thoughts flow.
And produce these amazing pieces of writing.
Right. Longer, more nuanced pieces without relying on all those outlines and organizers they used before.
Wow, so HRT is like giving them more RAM to play with.
That's a great way to put it. And this actually aligns with some emerging research on HRT and cognition.
Oh, tell me more about that.
While scientists are still figuring out all the intricacies, it's becoming clearer and clearer that hormones play a key role in how our minds work.
So James' personal experience is kind of like a real-life case study.
It is. It's giving us this amazing glimpse into how these complex brain processes actually work.
I love that. Sometimes the most profound insights come from personal stories.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, so we've got the language flowing, the creative juices amped up.
Right.
What else did Jaime notice changing?
Well, get ready for this one.
Okay, lay it on me.
Jaime started experiencing these intense bursts of creativity, especially at night.
Oh, really? Like in their sleep?
Not exactly in their sleep, but they would wake up in the middle of the night with these fully formed ideas like scenes or poems just ready to go.
Whoa, talk about inspiration striking.
And Jamin describes it as a kind of anticipatory anxiety, almost like this
Mhm.
nervous energy is fueling their creativity.
Interesting.
And they felt this urge to write immediately,
Oh, wow.
like they had to capture those fleeting thoughts before they disappeared.
So their brain was just operating on a whole new level.
That's how they describe it.
It's so intriguing to think about this link between hormones, sleep, and creativity.
Yeah.
Like, is there some kind of nocturnal synergy happening?
Right. It definitely raises some fascinating questions about how it all works.
For sure. Could there be specific hormonal shifts that happen while we sleep that actually prime the brain for creativity?
It's a mystery waiting to be solved.
Yeah, I know, right?
But one thing's for sure, Jamie's experience shows us just how much we still don't know about the interplay between hormones and our minds.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've got language, creativity, late night inspiration. What else changed for Jamie? Did this mental shift affect other areas of their life too?
Oh, you bet it did. Remember that analogy about dull tools becoming sharp and precise?
Yeah, with the chisel and the paintbrush.
Well, that sharpness didn't just apply to their writing.
Oh,
James' communication with their wife and family also went through a huge transformation.
hold on. I'm sensing a story here. Did they suddenly become a communication guru or something?
Well, it wasn't about becoming an expert overnight.
Oh, okay.
It was more about experiencing this new ease and openness. Conversations just flowed more naturally,
I see.
and they felt more comfortable expressing their thoughts and feelings without holding back.
That's amazing. So we're talking deeper connections, more vulnerability,
You got it.
maybe even fewer of those frustrating communication breakdowns we all experience sometimes.
Absolutely. It's like HRT removed a filter they didn't even know they had.
Wow, that's powerful.
It is. And it makes sense when you consider how hormones are linked to social bonding.
Oh, how so?
Well, for example, we know that estrogen plays a role in empathy and emotional processing. So it's possible that HRT is boosting those pathways,
Right.
making it easier to connect on a deeper level.
Wow. I'm officially adding communication enhancer to the list of HRT's superpowers.
Uh-huh. I like that.
And I bet our listeners are starting to see how all of this goes way beyond just physical changes, right?
For sure. Jima's experience really shows how HRT can impact our social and emotional lives in these profound ways. But there's more.
Oh, there's more.
Yeah, this one's particularly relevant for anyone who's ever experienced brain fog.
Oh, I think we can all relate to that one. Spill the tea. How did HRT affect Jamie's mental clarity?
Get ready for this because it's a game changer. Jamie went from this constant fog, struggling to focus, to this incredible mental clarity, like someone had just cleaned the windshield of their mind.
Wow, a total mental makeover. But what does that actually look like in everyday life?
Well, they described feeling much sharper, more organized,
Uh-huh.
like better able to handle all those complex tasks without getting overwhelmed.
So, improved focus, better decision making, maybe even like a problem-solving boost.
You got it. Like HRT just upgraded their whole mental operating system, allowing them to process information faster,
Yeah.
make decisions, with more confidence.
So it's not just about feeling sharper. It's
Yeah.
about actually having those mental tools to navigate everyday challenges.
Exactly. And speaking of problem solving, Jamie shared this hilarious story.
Oh, I love a good story.
It perfectly illustrates this shift. So, are you ready for this?
Hit me with it.
It all started with some unwelcome guests in Jamie's car.
Unwelcome guests? Like what? A band of rogue squirrels?
Even worse, a whole family of mice.
Oh, no.
They decided to make Jamie's car their new home.
Okay, that's every car owner's worst nightmare.
Right.
So did Jamie, totally freak out?
Well, before HRT, they probably would have felt super overwhelmed by the whole thing,
Yeah.
Stress of repairs, insurance, trying to figure out how to evict these furry tenants.
Yeah, it's a lot.
But with this new mental clarity, they were able to approach the problem systematically.
Okay, so instead of panicking, they, put on their detective hat.
Exactly. They researched, came up with this clever solution involving peppermint oil and steel wool.
Peppermint oil and steel wool.
And get this, they successfully evicted those mice.
Yeah.
No major drama.
Wow. Talk about turning a stressful situation into a problem-solving victory.
Right. It's a funny story, but it really shows how that cognitive function translates to real-life solutions.
That's a great example. So it's not just feeling sharper, it's about being able to handle those curveballs,
Exactly. And I think that's something everyone listening can relate to.
For sure.
Think about how frustrating brain fog can be,
Oh my gosh, tell me about it.
whether it's forgetting appointments, struggling to focus.
Yeah, or just feeling mentally drained all the time.
Exactly.
So are we saying HRT could be a potential solution to these cognitive hurdles?
It's a question worth exploring. I mean, we need more research to really understand the long-term benefits.
Yeah.
But Jamie's experience, combined with what others on HRT report, suggests that it could play a role.
Okay, that's super exciting. So we've talked about language transformation, creative bursts, communication skills, mental clarity. Like, what else did Jamie uncover about HRT and the brain?
Well, Jamie, always a creative thinker, they actually proposed this almost humorous thought experiment,
Okay, I'm intrigued.
a double-blind study on HRT's cognitive effects.
Ooh, a double-blind study. So we're talking lab coats, brain scans, the whole 9 yards.
Picture a long line of eager participants, all hoping to unlock that hidden cognitive potential.
Oh, I love it. Okay, so did Jamie have any specific tests in mind for these participants?
Well, they didn't really go into the nitty-gritty details of the study design,
Uh-huh.
but they playfully described the potential, like, chaos of having all these newly sharpened minds running around,
Yeah.
just like overflowing with creativity and solving problems left and right.
I can just imagine the researchers trying to keep up with all that brain power. But jokes aside, Jamie's proposal does make a really important point.
It does. I mean, while we can learn a lot from personal experiences, we need the science,
Yeah.
the rigorous studies to really grasp those full effects.
Right, so double-blind studies, that's the gold standard.
Exactly. For eliminating bias,
Yeah.
for establishing that cause and effect relationship.
So we need those scientists, those researchers, to crack this code.
Absolutely.
And imagine the possibilities if we can confirm these cognitive benefits with solid evidence.
Right.
We could be looking at a whole new way of approaching brain health and well-being, especially as we age.
It's an exciting prospect.
It is. Okay, so before we get too ahead of ourselves, let's bring it back to Jamie's experience.
Okay.
What are some key takeaways?
Well, first thing that really stands out is just how multifaceted HRT's effects can be.
Yeah.
We tend to fixate on the physical, the emotional changes. But Jamie's story really highlights that mental impact as well.
Right, from language and creativity to communication, mental clarity. It's like HRT can touch every aspect of our mind.
It's like a key that unlocks a hidden room in our brains, right?
Let's love that analogy.
Revealing these whole new tools, these abilities.
And Jamie's experience, while it is unique, it's a good reminder that we're all wired a bit differently.
Of course.
What works for one person might not have the same effect on another.
Absolutely.
So what's next for our listeners who are intrigued, who want to learn more?
Well, I highly recommend checking out Jamie's books,
Yes.
In the Stillness of Chaos and Liminal Echoes. Their writing offers such a valuable perspective.
And for those who want to delve into the science behind it all.
There's a growing body of research on HRT and cognition.
That's great.
Reputable sources like medical journals, healthcare professionals, that's where to start.
Okay, great advice. So remember, everyone, knowledge is power.
It is.
The more we know, the better equipped we are to make those informed choices.
For sure.
So keep exploring, keep asking those questions, and keep those minds open.
Exactly. You never know what amazing discoveries are just around the corner.
It really makes you wonder what other possibilities are out there, right?
It does. And think about the potential benefits for so many people.
Yeah.
Women going through menopause,
Yeah.
people dealing with age-related cognitive decline, even just those looking for that mental edge.
Right. It's like we've stumbled onto this secret weapon for brain power. But like we said, more research is needed before we go prescribing HRT to everyone.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
We need that balanced perspective, understand both the benefits and the risks.
For sure.
And as with any treatment, talking to a healthcare professional is key.
Right. Informed decisions are so important. But Jamie's story, it's just given us so many incredible insights.
It has.
It reminds us that our bodies and minds are always changing.
Always evolving.
And that there might be ways to unlock potential we didn't even know we had.
Exactly. It challenges those assumptions we might have.
Totally. Well, on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive. But before we go, I have one last question for you.
Okay, shoot.
If you could sum up the most mind-blowing takeaway from James' journey, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a tough one. But I think for me, it's that sheer plasticity of the brain.
Plasticity.
Yeah. That HRT can have these profound effects,
Mm-hmm.
on language, creativity, communication, problem solving. It really speaks volumes about how adaptable our brains are.
Right.
It's like a reminder that we're not fixed. We can learn, grow, evolve.
Throughout our lives.
Exactly.
And maybe, just maybe, HRT is one of the keys to unlocking that.
It's fascinating to think about.
It is. So to everyone listening, keep exploring, keep questioning.
Keep those minds open to new possibilities.
And until next time, keep diving deep.